Hey there guys, Sidewinder here for Community Starcraft 2. Today's video is going to be a Protoss versus Protoss scouting guide. And this is going to be weird. I'll bring up the names as I usually don't in scouting guides, and I will bring up the production. I usually try to keep one person in the dark so that they're literally scouting as we're scouting in the video. But this is different because this is a Protoss versus Protoss. It's a mirror matchup, so both players are going to be scouting. And I will reveal to you guys what these players are thinking as they get their first bits of information and try to keep it all straight, because it's going to be a little confusing. This is the first point of interest here. Typically, if you're playing on the ladder, I know we're not going to see it in this replay based on what this probe's body language is, but if you're playing on the ladder as Protoss, you want to pylon scout in this matchup all the time. Unless it's on a two-player map, and unless you're pretty sure you're not going to get cheesed. But cheese is so prevalent on the ladder, people will just use stupid cheap builds to try and catch you off guard, and if you're not scouting, then you're not going to see it coming. So I would really recommend, as soon as you drop your first pylon, which should be on 9 supply, send your probe out to his base and figure out what he's doing. So a lot of times if you don't see anything in his base, then he's going to be cheesing you or doing something weird, and if you get there late, you may just be too late to actually react to it, so you might just lose, and that sucks. So we're going to go ahead and fast forward in this replay and see what's going on. Now, from the Protoss versus Protoss perspective, what's been the most common thing in PvP the last, forever? It's 4-gate. So you need to first off scout to see if that's what your opponent is probably going to be going for. Both of these players are going to be gateway scouting, which is a little late for my tastes, especially considering that you deal with so much cheese on the ladder. But what's going to happen here is Elfie is going to find Jim's base first, and Jim is a Chinese player who played in this IEM event, and Jim's going to be scouting the wrong direction, which sucks for him. So the Acer Elfie probe is going to be coming up here and seeing what's going on, and we're going to kind of see it as he sees it. So we're going to hold V to get on his vision. He's going to come up here and he's going to see gateways up. He's going to see the pylons down. The gas is just now finishing. He's going to check for the second gas, which it's not there. And what you can do here, a lot of times, you're going to get into weird situations in this matchup where people are trying to steal your gas. If they do, then I will say that how the person reacts depends on what they're going to be doing. So what Jim is going to do here is once his gateway finishes up, he's going to drop his Cybernetics core in just a second, which is basically what you should be doing every game. There's no real reason not to. So go down, Cybernetics core, there it goes. And what Elfie's interested in seeing here is he's interested in seeing the amount of chrono that's stored up on the Nexus. If there's like 3 chronos worth of energy here by the time the Cybernetics core finishes, and that gets chrono boosted as soon as this is done, and this does not, that's going to be a heavy commitment to a 4-gate that's just going to be all in, and it's either win or lose right there, and you'll know how you need to react. Elfie's still going to scout around. If you see the second gas go up, that usually means they're not going to be 4-gating, but sometimes they still can, just to try and trick you. But you still need to be mindful of that. He does see the gateway kind of firing up here. You can see the middle of that is all like shiny and whatever. It means the unit's coming out, so there will be a zealot on the way for both of these players. Jim has still not seen where Elfie has spawned, and he knows he can only spawn right here now, considering he spotted the last 2 locations. But so what we're going to see is the Cybernetics core is going to finish. That's probably going to get chrono boosted right away. And this first zealot's going to come out, try to chase this probe down, try to keep your probe alive for as long as you can. Cybernetics core, go, and it does get chrono boosted. And there's still a fair amount of chrono boost energy on here. He needs to see if this gateway gets chrono boosted, which it's not going to. Nope, it's not. So, okay. So what sucks here is that Jim is trying to think, or make Elfie think that he's going to be 4-gating. By showing the fast chrono boost on there. You will want to chrono boost this anyway, but not chrono boosting the gateway is a pretty dead giveaway. It means you want to save your chrono up for something else. But behind this, Jim is actually going to take his second gas. So if this probe comes in here and sees this, he'll know that the 4-gate was a bluff. If you see the second gas, they're really not ever going to be 4-gating for the most part, especially if you see this third pylon in here. Typically with the 4-gate, they're going to go Zealot and then a Stalker, cut probes at 20, make a second Stalker, and their third pylon is actually going to go down at the front of the opponent's base. So Elfie now knows that there's not going to be a 4-gate incoming, and that's completely what this matchup revolves around right now. You want to see how much you have to respect that 4-gate. On the other side, this is what Jim actually sees. He only sees a gateway. He just got there really late. He's going to get in here and see what's going on. Now, no, he loses probe, so yikes. Jim's actually in the dark. So if Elfie was 4-gating right here, and Jim took his second gas, ooh, he just canceled it. So this is interesting. Let's go ahead and go through this. Okay, I was not expecting this, but this is really strange out of Jim. What he's doing is he's showing Elfie the second gas and the the third pylon. So Elfie right now, he's probably leaving the base. This is what he still sees. So he's probably like, okay, well, Jim's going for the second gas and this third pylon in here. There's no way he can be foregating, right? But Jim may just have been trying to trick him there. Second gate, third gate, the fourth one should go down immediately. There it goes. So Elfie now has to fight a foregate, which you have to really respect very, very hard. The ways that you can deny this at this point is you need to send these units out and kill their advancing probe if you possibly can, because there's no pylon down here for Jim. And Jim needs to place his third pylon down here by the time his warp gate is done, so he gets his first warp in front of Elfie's base. So this is going to be interesting to see what Elfie's actually able to do. So Jim just basically playing tricks on Elfie, just trying to say, okay, I'm a second gas, I'm not going to be foregating you, whatever. So Elfie can feel a little secure right now, but if he does, he might just lose the game because of it. Elfie's going for a robotics facility, and he only has one extra gateway, so he's probably just going to die here. Now if you see this kind of body language coming out here from the other Protoss player, like these Zealot and Stalker in the middle of the map, especially if they're bringing a probe along, that's usually going to mean that they're foregating, and I think Elfie's trying to trick him into the same thing. So a lot of scouting trickery going on here, but at least after this you'll finally be wary of what's going on. This is huge. If you can hold off a foregate by killing their probes and just targeting their probes down, they can't get their weapons at your base, and their foregate's going to be really late. So this is perfect play here out of Elfie right now, doing the best he possibly can to hold this off. You do want to micro your units, obviously, but yeah, that's essentially as far as the scouting is going to go, unless you have an observer. So essentially, watch out for the things I was talking about. Watch out for the lack of a chrono boost on the gateway and a chrono boost on the cybernetics core. Again, if they do that, they're likely going to be foregating. Jim showed a second gas just to trick Elfie, so you need to find some way to keep scouting information in there. One thing that I like to do, which I don't know if I will actually show, actually, you know what, I will pull up one of my own, and I'll show you a couple of different replays from me playing other Protoss players that I don't see a lot of pros doing, but it works out really well for me on the ladder because I get a lot of information based upon the way I play. So I hope this game was at least helpful to start things off. Please stay tuned for the next game that I'm going to be just chucking in here in just a second, because I will show you how to get scouting information in ways that people don't usually think of. So I'll be right. Okay, now welcome back. This again is the second part of the Protoss vs. Protoss scouting guide, but I'm going to be showing me. This is me playing a game I just played recently, and this is going to be me showing you ways you can get scouting information on a one-basing Protoss that people do not usually think about. This is going to work really well on the ladder. This is against a Masters level Protoss player, so this is going to be yielding basically the best competition you're going to see here in the US. It should work on any level of competition in the US, except for maybe Super High Masters, but if you're watching this and if you're Super High Masters, how are you Super High Masters? Anyway, so we're going to be bringing a probe in here. I did pylon scout, and what I did also do is check around my dead space area to check for extra cheese. So that's one thing that we didn't show in the last replay. Find some time for your probe to come in through your base and check for cheese, like check to see if they're like cannon rushing you or proxy gating you. And you can check in popular spots, like a lot of people like to proxy gateways and stuff over here behind these weeds, because a lot of people don't look there. But I'm going to get my probe in here and see what's going on. So the probe comes up, I'm going to see his gateway, and since I pylon scouted, I know what his gateway timing is going to be in comparison to my own. My gateway is just barely going down, but if you look at the health bars on both of them, he's just barely ahead. So this is probably like a 13 gate. So my probe's going to stay in here. I like to put my probe on a patrol, just so if there's a zealot or a probe or something chasing me, it won't get stuck. So I do that while I can macro other stuff up on my base. I'm going to be going for normal stuff. I do see he does have one gas, but I'm going to show you a little trick that you guys can do in this matchup that really helps out a lot, and I'll explain you why I do it. So after my cybernetics core goes down, which should happen here in just a second, blam, there it goes. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to check his base. I'm going to see what he's doing. His cybernetics core is down, but what I'm going to do here is something that people don't typically do in this matchup, and that I'm going to take his second gas. And I'll tell you why. If a Protoss player is going one base and they have only one gas, they cannot get Colossus out, they cannot get any sort of second tier tech out until they take this second gas. They're just too restricted by that, and this is going to give you, this is going to tell you a lot of things. So I'm going to steal a second gas. I want to make sure to preserve my own if I'm going to be going for a 2-gas play. So at this point I've invested 150 into extra geysers that I'm not going to use right away, but this 150 is opportunity cost. This is so that I don't have to basically keep scouting in here to see what he's doing, because he can't fake me out like he did in the last game. He can't show that he's taking a gas and be like, ooh, I'm not foregating. I'm going to know if he's foregating if I do this. So I'm going to be chrono boosting these units out as part of my build, and I'm going to just watch this geyser. If he attacks this geyser, that means that he is not foregating. If he does not attack the geyser, that means that he is for sure foregating, and I can alter my build to deal with that however I want to. So what he's going to do, he's going to pull a stalker over here, he's going to start shooting this geyser, and he does not have a zealot out, so this is kind of alarming to me. He's probably going for something like 2 gate, 3 stalker rush or something like that. So here's the second stalker rallying up here. At this time, I probably want to pull my probe in here and run it in and see what I can get done, because these stalkers are out of position. I can get the probe right up the ramp. The stalkers are too busy worrying about taking this gas. So if I run up in there, which I'm not sure if I actually do, okay, there I go. I'm going to run up in there right as the geyser dies and see what I can see. So I see this is 3 gateways right now, and if I see 3 gateways up for sure, and I don't see another stage of tech, which I probably won't considering he's spending gas on stalkers and his warp gate tech, he's not going to foregate me. Obviously it's way too late for that. He would need a pylon already set up, and he would need his stalkers at that side of the map by now. So that's how you know they're not going to be foregating you if they do this. So what he's probably going to do, if he's showing these 3 fast stalkers and 3 gateways, he's probably going to go blink stalker. And I know all this because I stole his gas, and he attacked the gas. I know what he attacked the gas with, and I got a probe in there. So I spent essentially 75 minerals to get scouting information at about 6 minutes. And it's something that people don't usually consider. If they've taken their second gas, you can also do something like drop a pylon here in the corner, which usually freak people out. They'll usually pull all their units to deal with that, and you can get your probe back in there and see what's going on. But you'll almost always scout if they're going for like 3 gateways, and if they're showing a lot of stalkers, or if they have a robotics facility down or something like that. You can get that almost every time. So that's something I would definitely recommend doing. Steal the gas in Protoss vs. Protoss just to get scouting information, or drop a useless proxy pylon in their base just to freak them out, make them react to it. Because if they don't react to it and leave it there, and you're actually going for a 4-gate, you just warp past their best spot of defense. So I usually, again, don't show my own replays, but this is something that I never see anybody do. Steal the gas, because that'll determine for sure if they're going to be 4-gating or not. It'll also determine if they want that geyser and what they're shooting it with, and buy your probe time to just run in here while they're attacking the geyser. So I wanted to demonstrate that. I don't know that there's really anything else that you can say about scouting in this matchup. Beyond that, if you do get either hallucination on here, which I rarely see, or if you do get a robotics facility, you can always scout with your observer and see what the other player is doing. If somebody saw my build with this, they'd be like, what? A forge? So they'd be able to see what I'm doing, and I wouldn't have any real way to deny that. So you can also scout with observers off of your robotics facility if it's actually down, or with a hallucination off of the cybernetics core. So yeah, I don't think there's a ton more to say. It's just that scouting in this matchup is kind of hard to do, but this gas steal is one of the best ways to get later scouting information that people don't consider. So if you can steal their gas right after your cybernetics core, do it. And you'll also probably have to cut a zealot if that happens, but if you have some way to hold off an impending 4-gate, if you know that it's actually coming, then you'll be perfectly fine, and you'll be completely safe up until about 7 or 8 minutes, when it's up to you to be safe after that point. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I'll bring you guys a lot more. Hopefully that's giving you very good information in all these matchups. Stay tuned, and I'll see you guys